Hey everyone, Ryan here, or MandRproductions, and welcome to my worst to first of every LEGO Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clone sets. We're going to be taking a look at 20 different Attack of the Clone sets and ranking them from what I think is the worst set to the very best set. Now, there will be some sets kept from this list, like UCS sets, because I just don't think it's fair to compare them to the playsets. This is basically every Episode 2 playset, not necessarily every Episode 2 set and its mother, like the Horde buildable characters or their ugly cousins, the Technic buildable characters. Those get their own videos. The bottom three here might shock a lot of people, but the worst Star Wars Episode 2 set I think they have ever released is the Jedi and Clone Trooper Battle Pack from 2018. To me, this just really missed the mark. Yes, the Episode 2 Clone Troopers are nice. In a battle pack, it's a good way to build your army with those. They are accurate to Episode 2, actually, unlike the Clone Troopers in another battle pack style set here in the bottom tier. But the build, while yes, it's Republic Gunship inspired, looks pretty horrid. Yeah, it's unique for a battle pack, but that doesn't mean it's good. But even worse than the eyesore that is that build are the Jedi minifigures here in this set. Ki-Adi-Mundi and Barriss Offee in a battle pack just do not belong. Sure, make a cheap set with Jedi in it, please. That makes it accessible for people. However, don't ruin what could have otherwise been a very good battle pack with Jedi figures, which completely destroys the repurchasability and the entire concept behind battle packs to me. So, funny enough, this was the second worst battle pack in my worst to first battle packs video. But moving on, we have the Clone Troopers versus Droidekas battle pack from 2013. This is one that my initial excitement certainly wore off on rather quickly. I bought 6 of these on release day, basically, and then just really didn't buy many more. Getting one army buildable clone in a battle pack kind of was disappointing to me, but more so than that, I really detested the look of the Droideka. I think the bottom half looks way bigger than the top half. It looks like it's two halves of two different Droidekas to me, and I think they look terrible. I also think the part where the weapons for the Droideka are just really stubby and the head doesn't go up high enough. I don't know. There's a lot of weird aspects of this Droideka. I still think the Droideka from the early 2000s is far superior to anything they have released since, but yeah, these Droidekas were pretty ugly. On the bright side, though, it did have a very nice clone command station build, but yeah, this one just doesn't compare to a lot of the other Episode 2 sets for me. Moving on, though, another Episode 2 battle pack style set on the bottom of the list. It's really, to me, insane that the bottom 3 sets for this list are battle pack style sets, because typically I very much like battle packs, but unfortunately with these Episode 2 ones, there just isn't a ton to love, and it continues here with the clone command station. Now, build-wise, I actually really like the style they went for the command station. It's much smaller than the one we saw in 2013, but it's just got a nice color scheme to it, and I really like how round the front is, and surprisingly, it's one of the few weapons racks that LEGO Star Wars has ever made that I really like as well. I just think it looks really aesthetically pleasing. However, this set, as an Episode 2 set, falls apart very quickly here. Now, while it does have two regular Clone Troopers, at least matches the Jedi and Clone Trooper battle pack, and is certainly better than the battle pack we just looked at, the Clone Commander is decent for a set like this. This is technically not a battle pack. It's a minifigure accessory pack, so if you want to look at it that way, you can. But to me, where this set, as an Episode 2 set, very much falls flat on its face, is that the Clone Troopers have been redesigned at this point to be a mix of Episode 2 and Clone Wars design, so live action animated, and therefore as an Episode 2 set, this is insanely inaccurate. It's just really sad that Clone Troopers from 2002 were more accurate than Clone Troopers we're getting today. I don't understand how we've gotten to this point, but we have. Accuracy on LEGO Clone Troopers has peaked, and it's a sad day to be a part of. As nice as these look, they're just inaccurate. But moving on, we're off the Clone Trooper Battle Pack style sets for the rest of the video. We have the Tuscan Raider encounter, and we're basically at a part of the video too where most of these sets are fine. So yeah, these are the bottom half of the Episode 2 sets, but they're not necessarily terrible sets. So don't be commenting below oh, but I had that one as a kid and I loved it. I like this one too. It's just not as good as the other 16 we're about to look at. For $10 though, you got a Episode 2 Anakin and 2 Tuscan Raiders. These are my favorite Tuscan Raider designs. I know they're not as good as the new ones, but these ones just have that nostalgic look to them that is awesome. And the box art for a set like this really doesn't do it justice. There's also a water vaporator in the background. It's just so small in the box, you might not even realize it's coming in the set you're buying, but it's a cool set. The speeder is amazing. I think it's the only time we've gotten the Episode 2 Anakin speeder like this. It's just crazy cool looking to me, so I'm a big fan of this one. But moving on, we have the $20 Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter with Obi-Wan and R4's head. This one, I think, is just a generally good looking starfighter. I think it might even be more accurate in the cockpit area than the next one that we're going to be looking at, but yeah, this is a good one for $20. I think it was a good deal. Not too much else to say about this one. It didn't have many features. But next up, the only reason that I think this one one gets the edge over the 2002 model, and it does help that it's 20 years later, but this starfighter does have some issues too from 2022. It does have some pretty big gaps alongside the wings to the body, so that's my biggest problem with this. But it also, like, someone said it to me and I can't get it out of my head now, it looks like it has a beer belly. Like, the top part of the starfighters that leads into the cockpit is just huge compared to what it probably should be, and we can see the 2002 model, I think, is a much better look in that area. Now, on the flip side of that, you could make the argument that having a play function of being able to put R4's body inside the starfighter, just a storage area before putting his head on the starfighter, is nice, and I agree it is nice, but it makes the ship look less good, so it's a give and take for sure. But where this set really excels, I think, is both with that Obi-Wan Kenobi minifigure, which is excellent, but really Tan Wee the Kaminoan here steals the show and really puts this set above being in the bottom 5 of episode 2 sets for me. It's really nice. I like the set, but there's just a lot better stuff out there for episode 2 from over the years. So those are both Obi-Wan starfighters, just kind of neck and neck, kind of splitting hairs as to which one might be better there, but I think the minifigs for the newer one take it over the top. Now, moving on, we have the HAL Fire Droid from 2015. Honestly, it's a slight bit derpy looking to me. The more I stare at it, the more I don't love it as much as I used to. It's been a while since I've looked at this one, but you can't look past that Clone Trooper Lieutenant minifigure with the leg printing. There was one that came in a poly bag that didn't have leg printing, but this one with leg printing, much better. It's also got an accurate torso design, unlike the other Clone Troopers we just looked at. And then these super battle droids making one of their final appearances. We haven't really seen these much since this set, so super battle droids in this set was very nice. Plus, you have on top the spring-loaded shooters, which I think fit super great on top of a set like this to be able to recreate the firing function of the HAL Fire Droid. So kudos to LEGO with this one. I think it's a very good design, and for $20, it was a great deal. Now, we have the Jedi Duel from 2002, one of the original episode 2 sets, of course. Count Dooku in his yellow skin tone, Yoda with the original head mold. Quite a funky duo there, but I love the sand blue speeder. Plus, the little build in the background is kind of nice. It's, again, not the focus of the build, much like with that Tuscan Raider encounter. You might not even realize you're getting it in the set, but it's there. But ultimately, to me, this is just a great minifig pack for the Yoda and the Count Dooku to be able to recreate their duel in episode 2. Now, the next set here is one that I kind of wish I could have put higher, and maybe you'll have it higher on your own personal list, but the Homing Spider Droid from 2013, this is top tier. This was before they ruined the Homing Spider Droid by adding a giant stud shooter on the bottom of it, so it looked awesome in this particular set. Just the best one they ever made. Then below that, we have the Dwarf Spider Droid, which also looks fantastic here. The only knock against it is that it uses a blue Technic pin that shows through right under the antenna, so that can look a little bit odd, but otherwise, fantastic 2 builds there, plus the minifigs. Again, all this for just $30. Stasa Lee, unique to this set, freaking fantastic. In episode 2, Clone Trooper, again, nice addition, and then 2 more super battle droids to flesh out the set. I mean, the only thing I guess you really could ask for is a couple Geonosian battle droids to make it feel more Geonosis-y, but yeah, 2013 Homing Spider Droid is just chef's kiss. In 2013, they released an updated version of that Jedi Duel set we just looked at, and they made it a lot better. The Duel on Geonosis set was $40, and at the time, I remember it being regarded as overpriced, and I was certainly in that camp, but it's one that's really grown on me over the years. It's got a great landing platform that we see in episode 2. It's not the exact same size or anything of the sorts, but it's well represented here, and I really like it. It's a good spot to pop the speeder on. Some of the other great functions of this set were that you could have Yoda on a stick to make him jump around more when he's fighting Count Dooku, which is fantastic. You can also store Count Dooku's Force Lightning within the rock in a crate, so nice feature there. Plus, you can make things fall on this set when Count Dooku's trying to drop things on Yoda and have Yoda try to force it back up. So there's a lot of fun functions like that in this set. And then there's the minifigures. We have Poggle the Lesser in this set, his only appearance, a beautiful looking minifigure, along with, of course, a great Count Dooku and Yoda to boot. And then there's also Count Dooku's pilot droid, which I think would fit in his Solar Sailor, but obviously the Solar Sailor is not in this set, I think. Pretty sure that's where it would go. Really, if I was going to add anything to the set, I would love to have seen another episode 2 Anakin and Obi-Wan to go against Count Dooku as well, because that's all just kind of part of the scene to me, but just not included here. Now, moving on, we have Jango Fett Slave 1. Definitely something that probably could have been higher on the list, but there's a lot of good episode 2 sets. It's hard to pick. This one I have had a lot of on-hand experience with, and I've got some issues with because of that. The missiles that come out of the side of the ship often fall off, and then you've kind of got this weird magnet crate thing on the bottom of the Slave 1, which was a unique unique idea, but I don't really like it that much. It's also just not a super strong design. It's a really good looking one. It's one that has aged fine. However, it's something that can fall apart pretty easily in your hands. Like in my experience, swooshing it around just even a little bit will make it fall apart. So it definitely has its flaws, but it's something that the community loves for sure because it's the only Jango Fett Slave one. Plus, it has that classic Jango Fett and classic young Boba Fett minifigure, which goes a long way too for getting a set like this a lot of love. But yeah, I think it just doesn't stack up as well against some of the other episode 2 sets from more modern times and from the era that it came out in. Now, moving on, we have the original ATTE, and this one is pretty rough looking, but with the nostalgia goggles on, it is lovely. I love the translucent neon green cockpit for this. I think it's a fantastic look, and it's a really nice, like, accentuating color to the gray and dark red otherwise. You also get 4 regular clone troopers in this set, and while getting a little bit more would have been nice as far as like maybe a Jedi or some battle droids to go against it, or whatever the case may be, 4 clone troopers in a clone trooper set is always going to make me happy. That is amazing. Then we have a speeder bike as well that can fit inside of the ATT, and it's a great looking speeder bike in a very nice dark red and dark gray color scheme. There's also plenty of space on the interior of this ATT to store your clone troopers, so overall this is a really good ATT. It's just not the best ATT here. The Technic Fire Droid from 2003 was $50, and it is a menace. One of the most lovely Lego Star Wars Technic sets you'll ever see. It really nailed the look of the Fire Droid at a huge scale. It's way bigger than the other one on this list, and it is not even comparable. It doesn't have minifigures because it was just made in a completely different scale than the normal play sets, and not even really in like the normal Lego system. Obviously, it's a completely different thing with Technic that does integrate nicely with a lot of the other Lego bricks that we use today, but in this case, they really just went full-on Technic for it. It rolls really nicely, and it just looks super cool on display, so I think it's a really good Star Wars Episode 2 set, but I could really see this one going either way for a lot of people. For me, it's one of the coolest sets, and maybe for some others, it's a bottom 3 set because it really doesn't fit in with the rest, but I love it. I think it's just one of those really cool, weird one-off Lego Star Wars sets that we'll probably never see anything like again. 2013's ATT is a very good looking one from the exterior. However, it has a few shortcomings that are really unfortunate. First off, its interior just really is lacking a lot. The front section of the interior just lets you store some flickfire missiles, super lame, and the back section like a couple of clone troopers. Not a lot of space at all in this one. It's lame from that perspective to me. And then the minifigs are another place where it really falls apart to me. You're getting more droids than clone troopers in a clone trooper set. That's just never going to sit well with me. I know you got 2 other Jedi, but like, come on, where are the clone troopers, right? It's still an ATT, right? It's got to have clone troopers. So this is a set that I don't look back as fondly at because of those couple of things. I mean, it was a good deal at $90, but ultimately, because of that price, it felt like it skimped out on a few core things that you would expect from a set like this. So it's a good ATT. It's definitely loved by a lot of people, including myself, but honestly, I could have seen myself throwing this even lower on the list, but I ended up putting it here. Maybe a surprisingly high pick here, but the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid from 2013, it was $20. It had the same amount of clone troopers as the $90 ATT we just looked at, plus it had a Geonosian Battle Droid and the coveted Jango Fett. Beautiful figure for a $20 set. The Corporate Alliance Tank Droid, while not making an appearance in Episode 2 per se, it did appear in the deleted scenes, so I think that's kind of how they got away with making this as one of the Episode 2 sets. So I'm kind of split on that because it happened 10 years after the movie came out. It's not like one of the cases like the First Order Heavy Scout Walker where the set came out before The Last Jedi came out, but then when The Last Jedi came out, the actual ship wasn't in the movie, and then it's a whole like, but why did they make this if it was in the movie? But like, obviously it was a concept art thing and they didn't know. But in this case, they did know it's not in the movie, but it's only in deleted scenes. So it's kind of a unique situation that 10 years later, they're making a set from a deleted scene in Episode 2, but I still think it's really cool. I think it really fits nicely with the rest of the lineup from 2013, and the minifigs really just throw it over the top for me. For $20, it's a great Corporate Alliance Tank Droid. I think it's the best looking of the 3 Corporate Alliance Tank Droids that they've made. Next up, we have the Bounty Hunter Pursuit. It has 3 minifigs, Anakin and Obi-Wan in their Episode 2 attire. Beautiful. And then we have Zam Wessel, who can morph into an alien, basically. So you have the one face that's the normal human face with kind of the face covering, and then flipping it around reveals a very scary alien-like face. As for the set itself, it is one of the most unique color-wise for LEGO Star Wars. You don't get a lot of things in lime green, regular green, orange, and yellow. Like it's just a very unique looking set. It does have some very nice chrome pieces on the speeder for Anakin and Obi-Wan as well. The engines look really good with very nice prints on them. And then Zam Wesell's speeder is just a really unique design as well. It's just one of my favorite Star Wars Episode 2 sets for sure. I'd love to see a modern day re-release of this for like $50-$60 and maybe include some small display stands to really set this set apart from other Lego Star Wars sets as a unique kind of display collector's piece at $60. But yeah, Bounty Hunter Pursuit, top 5 for sure. It'd be silly of me not to put the Republic Gunship in the top 5 as well. This is a beautiful gunship. Now, it's not the best gunship, unfortunately. This design is definitely shown its age to me. It does have some fun features though, like where you can lift up the front cockpit area and then pull apart the entire front section of the ship to reveal a whole play section. It does have a little bit too much color on the inside for me too. Just looking on the main box art image, you can literally see colored bricks inside the gunship where there just probably shouldn't be lime green and yellow. Like that type of thing just throws me off every once in a while. You do have nice gunner positions on the side of the gunship, and it's just a generally good looking gunship. It's just not the strongest, sturdiest design ever. Kind of like the Jango Fett Slave one from the same era. Like, it's a really good looking ship, but when you actually pick the thing up, it can fall apart in your hands relatively easily compared to some other modern day sets. Now, this set really shines with its minifigures too. It adds on to the 4 regular Episode 2 Clone Troopers that were in the ATT, so you get the same thing there, but then you also get a Jedi Knight, aka Jedi Bob, legendary Jedi. And then on top of that, you get what I consider to be the best designed Lego Star Wars Droideka, or Destroyer Droid figure, because the one in the battle pack sucked. Like, this one I think is the best one. It looks lovely. Maybe it's nostalgia goggles. I don't know. I honestly don't care. I just like this one the best. And then you also get a pair of the Pearl Sam Blue Super Battle Droids, only ever released in this set. After this, they made them all like dark gray and just very different color, obviously. But this was a very unique blue color. Now, they do suffer, much like the dark gray ones though, but I think these ones to a higher degree suffer from the joints cracking and breaking all of the time on these guys. So they are quite the commodity nowadays, very expensive figures, but still very nice looking ones at that in that sand blue color. So while the gunship design might not be the best gunship, it's got an all-time figure selection. I think the most surprising placement on this list for a lot of people is going to be this one, the Geonosian Fighter. I think this is genuinely one of the best Star Wars Episode 2 sets, and it just doesn't get a lot of conversation. Like, it's just solid all the way around. I think they could literally release this set as it was today, and like, you wouldn't really notice. I think the only thing that really tells its age is I think they use some colors that LEGO doesn't make anymore, like those battle droids and the orange color on the Geonosian Fighter. But other than that, I think they could really get away with releasing this almost exactly as it was nowadays. Like, it's a fantastic set. It's got 2 Geonosians, one of which does not have wings so that it can fit within the Geonosian Fighter. The other one does have wings, and he can man the Geonosian cannon. The cannon is lovely looking. Now, this set does really lack modern things like spring-loaded shooters, flick-fire missiles, that type of stuff, but maybe that's part of what makes it so good. It doesn't have any of those detractors aesthetically, so it can just be this really clean-looking design. Now, that being said, the 2011 Clone Wars Geonosian Fighter didn't have any aesthetic detractors and looked fantastic, and it still had a feature where it could drop a bomb out of the bottom. But the point remains, they just stick that stuff on nowadays, and you never know where it would be. I really love this set, and I think it's massively underrated by a lot of people, and for me, it's number 3 on the list. Cracking the top 2, Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter with hyperdrive ring. Now, this Jedi Starfighter suffers from the same issue that the 2022 version does, in that it has a bit of a gut right in front of the cockpit compared to what it probably should be, but again, it does allow for the function of putting R4's body inside of the ship when you put his head on, so that's the give and take there again. It still looks like a generally nice Starfighter, but this set really shines for the hyperdrive ring and the minifigs to me. The hyperdrive ring functions beautifully with kind of like a trigger mechanism to allow the fighter to enter and exit the hyperdrive ring securely, so you don't have to worry about it falling out while you're playing around with it. And that middle clear part right below where the trigger is acts as a handle for the hyperdrive ring, so you can play around with it and fly it. Very, very fun set in that way. It does also have some spring-loaded shooters right underneath where the Jedi Starfighter goes for the hyperdrive ring, so that's one of those examples I was talking about, like the Geonosian Starfighter. You just never know where they'll stick stuff like that in, and it can take away from the look. So I think that takes away from the look a little bit, but beautiful looking Starfighter. And then let's talk about the minifigs. I mean, Jango Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, R4, and a young Boba all in one set are fantastic. The true downside to getting Jango and Boba in the set is it meant that we weren't going to be getting a Slave 1 at the same time. Like, that would have been a great pairing of sets, but that's just not what happened here. Still a fantastic set for $100 though at the time, probably a bit overpriced. It was a Toys R Us exclusive, so maybe that went into it a little, but still, really love this set. And finally, the number one LEGO Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clone set, a set that I think anyone could have guessed would be number one on my list here, the 2013 Republic Gunship. This is by far the best playset Republic Gunship they have made. It looks phenomenal. It's got the laser ball turrets on the side. You can also place minifigures within the wings. You have plenty of interior space for characters and clone troopers to fill in the space. You have the 2 cockpit bubbles where you can put one of your clone pilots and another minifigure. The clone pilot is a bit inaccurate in that the helmet design is just wrong. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is. It does have a nice speeder included in this set, albeit small, but it does actually fit onto the ramp of the back of the gunship, so that's a really cool function. While they take away a little bit aesthetically, the flick-fire missiles on top are also a very cool feature where you can shoot them off just like the missiles of the actual gunship. This one also has a handle for the first time in a Republic Gunship. The other 2 playsets that came out before it didn't, so that was a big upgrade to this one for it to not be breaking in your hands when you played with it. Like, seriously, big issue for me on the 2008 version, not an issue here. Also, just looking to the other Episode 2 version, the whole cockpit area is just so much cleaner here 10 years later. The one from 2003 was just really messy, and they really cleaned it up here, made it look really smooth. And I think it really shows how much better the designers got over the decade, plus the introduction of so many new pieces really helps a lot here too. As for the rest of the figures go, of course, you get the clone pilot. You also get another clone trooper. Really could have used more clone troopers here. Never hurts to have more clone troopers, especially in big clone trooper set. Like, you should really have 3, 4 at the least clone troopers in a set like this. Like, just throw in more figures, you know? Like, it's not costing you that much more to add in a couple more regular white clone troopers. But we do get a pair of super battle droids, which is nice. It gives you that little bit to be able to fight against, but then again, just replace those with regular clone troopers, and I think that makes this an even better set. For the rest of our minifigs, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi and Padawan Anakin from Episode 2, Anakin with his green lightsaber instead of the typical blue, and then we have the best Padme minifigure ever, the Episode 2 Padme here. Well, unless you like the Queen Amidala figure from Episode 1. That's also one of the best Padme figures. But, you know, potato. This is a great Padme figure, too, from Geonosis. So, very good figure selection, and all for $120. A great deal for that Republic Gunship back in 2013, I thought. So, fantastic set, and it's definitely on the top of the list for me. Let me know your worst and your first LEGO Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clone set in the comments section below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can check out more LEGO Star Wars videos on the end screen down.